West Ham 3, Sunderland 1. What a big result that could be for our season. A pivotal moment in the season, I feel. A really, really big game. I said before the game that it was a massive, massive moment and we needed to turn up. And the lads did, to be fair. A really big win. And something I didn't really see coming. I predicted a draw before the game. I thought it'd be a tight, cagey affair. And it was anything but in that first half. We really played well. And to be fair, got the win that we desperately needed. And it could be a big moment in our season. Before I talk about the game though, please subscribe if you haven't done so already and drop a like on the video. Last video did really well, so really thanks for all the support and the new subscribers. Welcome on board. So yeah, if you could drop a subscription and like this video, it'd be very much appreciated. So yeah, what a game. I really wasn't expecting it. I thought I went into the game very nervous and like I say, really thought it would be a tight game, but we really turned up, particularly in that first half. We really went at them. The first moment started, it was quite nervous. We were quite tentative, I felt. And in the first few moments, Sunderland had a couple of sort of flurries forward. But then we grew into the game fairly quickly. And we was knocking about quite well. I'll come on to sort of tactically where I think the difference has been. But we're knocking about fairly well. It looks like we're sort of growing together, particularly the attacking players. And it was a really confident first half, which I can't remember the last time I thought that. Maybe the Newcastle game when we came from a goal behind, but even then we probably didn't play with the same sort of freedom and fluid football as we did yesterday. So yeah, it was really good to see that. Really good to see some really good interchanges between the attacking players. And it looked like we had a bit of confidence, and maybe that is the momentum from the QPR win in extra time, the Tottenham game last week. Obviously, a late win is always going to do wonders for your confidence, and it just feels so different from a few weeks ago, doesn't it? An absolute massive change from what we were seeing a few weeks ago when we did look dead and buried. And I was certainly one that was saying we were dead and buried. So yeah, credit to the players because you felt the nerves going into that game, and like I say, the first few minutes it was definitely there, definitely apparent. But they grew into the game quickly and they got hold of that first half, which was really, really important. And I think I loved all three goals for different reasons, really. I think they all had something about them, and they all, even though one was a penalty, even the build-up to the penalty was really good. The way we moved it from right to left, and Ollie Scarles's first touch sort of cuts inside and then gets chopped down. Everything, all three goals, particularly Summerville's, I loved that goal. The great cross from Bowen. Obviously, he had one attempt, it got cleared away. Wan-Bissaka just gives him the ball back and just says, go on, have another go, because he had that left-back Ronaldo on toast. He goes on his right foot again, which I think is so important. Bowen has been a little bit predictable in recent weeks, where he's always known you're cutting in on your left-hand side, and it just makes it easy to defend. But if he can start going on his right foot and putting crosses in like that, then it makes him a different proposition. And I think that was a fantastic cross and really good header from Summerville, who don't really sort of expect that from a player of Summerville's height. But really good header, powerful header, and that was a really pivotal moment in the game to get the first goal, calm the nerves, and then give us confidence to go on from there. And again, I think after that, the second goal and the third goal, we deserved, because we were really on the front foot there. You know, I've been very critical, and I think the fans have been very critical of West Ham under Nuno and not going for that second and third goal and being very passive and sitting back. And I don't think we did that yesterday. We smelt blood. We went for the jugular, and yeah, obviously the second goal was a penalty I've talked about, but the third goal, what a strike from Fernandes. Yeah, I'll come on to him in a minute, but he is just such a good player and really big in this team. And then second half was about game management. I think, we've seen 3-0s a lot in many different Premier League games, and it often is the case where the second half is a little bit more calmer. Is often not more goals. It sort of just dies down a little bit, and it's about game management from the winning side. It's about making sure that there's no momentum grasped, from the other way in terms of Sunderland getting some momentum. And I feel like we did that. Obviously, we conceded the goal, which was a shame because I really felt like we was going to get a clean sheet. I didn't feel like I was going to get a clean sheet. I always feel like West Ham were going to concede. But it would have been nice to get that clean sheet as well. But it was a good goal from Sunderland's point of view. But again, we still nullified that after. It didn't really feel too nervy. There was obviously a few nerves in the ground, and it just felt like if Sunderland were to get a second, and obviously they had that moment with O'Nine's sort of cross, and then Areola making a little bit of a mess of it, but then grasping it. I think if that had gone in, it might have been it would have been a very different atmosphere and different place. But we got the job done, and we got the win. And like I say, that could be massive. But I think emphasis on the word could. We need to still kick on from here. We can't just look at that and be like, oh, we've won back to back. We'll probably be fine. We need to not get complacent, particularly in the transfer market. Obviously, got a few days to go. We still need to bring in players. But even performances on the pitch, we need to keep going. This needs to continue. We need to build on the momentum from this. Tactically, I do think there has been a shift. I think the two strikers, or the one playing off, it's almost like a 4-4-1-1 with sort of Tati and Pablo interchanging up front. You could call it a 4-4-2. You could even call it a 4-2-3-1. Either way, I think it's made us a lot more solid. Ironically, because it's an attacking change from Nuno to bring in two strikers into the first team. I mean, there were some games earlier in the season we weren't playing with any strikers, so to have two is a really nice change, and I think makes a massive difference, both attacking wise and defensively. It means teams just can't stroll with the ball from their centre halves up to the halfway line and into our half without any pressure. And we've seen that when Paqueta's been playing the false nine, for example. It's just been so easy for other teams to get out. That's no longer the case. You are being hunted back down by these two strikers who maybe quality wise is not brilliant, but both of them work hard, and I think that's really important. So, and it also is a presence. It occupies centre-backs, which is given the space for Bowen, is given the space for Summerville, is given the space for Fernandes. It occupies centre-halves. That's what, when we was crying out for Wilson to start earlier in the season, it wasn't the fact that Wilson is this amazing striker and is going to cause so much havoc for defences, but he occupies centre-backs. He's just having a presence there, and I think we're seeing that now with Tati and Pablo's. They're occupying centre-halves, and I think if you're Dan Ballard, or if you went to Dan Ballard and Alderete before the game and said, would you rather play against Lucas Paqueta in a false nine or Tati and Pablo, they'd definitely rather play against Lucas Paqueta, even though Paqueta is the better of those three players, because it must have been a long afternoon for them dealing with that work rate and just the physical prowess of Pablo. And I think that is where tactically it's made a big difference. We look more of a compact unit now. And we look more of a proper Premier League side that can hack it physically in the Premier League, which we haven't done so for a while. And then also Fernandes playing central midfield, which I'm so glad he's been played central midfield, not like he did with Graham Potter at times out on the left. He is playing central midfield. I think that's where you get the best out of him, which I'll come on to again. But yeah, I think that's been the biggest change. The two strikers, it means we can be on the front foot more. It means we can keep I mean, it's quite simplistic to say, but just keep the ball away from our goal, because we can't defend. We know we can't defend, so sometimes you have to, best form of defence is attack, right? So it's just like, get the ball up the other end. Again, very simplistic to say, but keeping pressure on their back four. And I think we did that really well, and I think that's been a big difference over the last couple of games. Individually as well, I think Bowen had his best game for a while in attacking sense. I think he worked really hard against Tottenham, but today I think he looked really good going forward, which is the first time I can say that for a while. And look, Bowen he's been our saviour for the last couple of seasons, really. So he was due a rough patch of form. I think we've seen that now. Hopefully we're going to see Bowen back to his best, because that could make a massive difference in our bid for survival. And Summerville continuing his form as well, like really good from Summerville. He's turning into the player I think we all thought he could be when he signed. And if he can continue this form, like that, what's that? Three goals in the last 3 games now, and an assist against QPR as well, a very good assist. So yeah, really good from Summerville. Hopefully he continues that form. And then lastly, Matheus Fernandes. What an absolute player. If we do go down, and not to take a negative spin on it, but if we do go down, there's not too many players, Bowen being one of them, but there's not too many more that I would be absolutely heartbroken if we sold and if we lose, which I think we would. And I think we would lose Matheus Fernandes, and I would be heartbroken. I really would, because I think he's going to be a top player. He has got so much potential. He is the modern day. We talk about like the Premier League and how it's changed and how there's no real room for mavericks anymore, and that's maybe why Paqueta is for me a bit of a maverick. And I don't love that. I love Mavericks in the game. I like players of Paqueta's quality, but there is no room for it anymore. It's so tactical, it's so physical that every player needs to be pulling the weight from an attacking and defensive point of view. And Matheus Fernandes epitomises that. He's a modern day proper Premier League midfielder. He can do a bit of everything. He's not a massive bloke, is he? And yet he puts himself about so well. He's tough in the tackle. He's tenacious. He gets about the pitch really well. Got great engine on him. But added to that, on the ball, he's very good technically. He can play short, can play long. And then, as we saw yesterday, not just the goal, but the one where he hits the bar, he's striking from range is really, really good. And again, something I hope we see more of, particularly if the two strikers continue to play, create that space for him to come onto the ball and hit it, because he's definitely got a talent there. But yeah, what a player. I think, I don't want to, like I say, I don't want to move him on straight away, because I'm loving having him at West Ham, but it wouldn't surprise me if he went on to one of the big boys at some point in the next couple of years. We obviously don't want that, but yeah, absolute great player. And if we were voting for Hammer of the Year today, he would definitely get my vote, and I think he would get a lot of people's. But yeah, massive game, massive result, but also a massive game today. I can't remember a game that West Ham are not involved in that's been as big for West Ham as this in a long time, in terms of Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. We need Brentford to do us a solid. It really is. I think a Nottingham Forest win would just take the sting out, just take the enjoyment out of yesterday a little bit. It would just just numb it a little bit, which wouldn't be great. So I'm really hoping it's either a Brentford win or even a draw wouldn't be the worst result in the world. But I think Brentford are in good form. They're a dangerous side. Sade and Thiago looking really dangerous up front. So I'm hopeful that they'll be getting the 3 points today. So do us a solid, Brentford. We need it. But let's enjoy this, eh? It's been a rough season so far. But 3 wins. Yes, one of them in the FA Cup, but 3 wins back to back. Yeah, it's nice to enjoy it. It was nice to enjoy Match of the Day last night. It's not many times I can say that. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it too. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And let's see what Brentford do today, and then on to a big week in both the transfer market and then a big game next week. Come on, you Irons.